Move. Come on. Let's go. Out. Out.
This world that I like more than checks. Money. All I really wanna see is the money. I don't really need a D, I need the money. All a bad bitch need is the money. I got bands in the coop.
Hello, DommeNation, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe. Today I am answering the big question on how does one find her dominance. If you are a new Dom and you've decided to become a Dom from what you see on Twitter or Instagram, FetLife, or any kink site or anything like that, and you decided you want to become a Dom, however, you don't really feel that you've grown your dominance yet, this video is going to be for you. Remember also, some people are born Doms. For me, I was born a Dom. I've always wanted to be a Dom. My interest was sparked when I was at least 15, and it wasn't a sexual thing. I wasn't having sex at 15. However, it was something that I saw, and it sparked this huge interest in me, and I'm pretty sure I saw it on a movie or something like that, but the first time I saw Dominatrix, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So that's kind of where mine stems from. And then fast forward a few years later, with my first couple of boyfriends, when I did actually start having sex in like college, I would always want to tie them up. I always wanted to do blindfolds and teasing and, you know, just all kind of stuff. And then later in life, I ended up with a guy that likes to be cuckolded. I ended up with a guy that likes to be pegged. Things like that just, you know, sort of fell in my lap. So as far as being a new Dom and trying to find your dominance, a few tips I will give. The first tip is to really think about what you're doing and why you want to do this. Why do you want to be a Dom? What about the lifestyle has intrigued you? What is your deciding factor on saying, hey, I want to become a Dom now? What type of Dom do you want to be? Those are your first questions to really ask yourself, and to really go in depth with yourself on if you really want to be a Dom or if you just think it's something cool to do. Number 2, if you decide after you've asked yourself those questions you do want to become a Dom and you still just really don't know how to find your dominance, then you need to educate yourself. The first thing to do is to educate yourself. Read books, read articles online, go through FetLife, go through Findom Discord. Well, not Findom Discord, that's very specific, but go to FetLife, go to kink.com, go to just Google BDSM and start looking up stuff and just really do your research. And then once you've done that, really practice being dominant. Read, find someone you can shadow. Make sure you're doing your research. Make sure you're doing your research well, and practice. The next thing you could do is to get an experienced sub to help teach you along the way, help teach you what they knew. But if you go this route, this isn't the route I went, but if you do go this route, make sure you find a sub that is within your niche. And when I say within your niche, I mean don't find a sub that wants something that you don't want to do. The reason I say this is because if you find someone that is into scat play or is into asphyxiation or is into body modification, even if you are not into those things, finding a sub to teach you that is into those things would be kind of like a conflict of interest. It would be a conflict of interest because that's not something you want to do. What you want to do is completely different. You could really be into spit play, or you could really be into humiliation or CBT or CEI. And if the sub that is supposed to be training you isn't into any of that, then it's really just going to be a waste of your time. I think the very, very first thing that you need to do when trying to find your dominance is to find your kink. You first need to figure out, like I said, why you decided you wanted to become a dom. The next thing you need to figure out is your kink. And when I say figure out your kink, figure out what fetishes you are into. You could be into one fetish, you could be into 10. But you need to do research on fetishes and research on different kinks and figure out which one you like or which ones you like, so that way you can know how to do your research. And then the next thing goes into educating yourself. And then once you start educating yourself on your kink, you then can read up on things and you can try and shadow someone and you can begin to practice. The last thing I would say to do when you're trying to find your dominance is be a submissive first. Some people recommend being a submissive before you become a dominant, apparently, which is okay. I see there are a lot of doms, male and female, that are switches. I've met a lot of dominant men that are also switches. And what a switch is it's a person that goes from dominant to submissive. These are usually sexual relationships, so I don't deal with those kind of men because I don't have sex with any of my subs. I don't have sex with any of my clients. That's not my thing. And being a submissive first will tell you whether you're a dom or not. Honestly, I think it would. And that's only if you're confused. I've never been confused about being a dominatrix or wanting to be dominant. I've been dominant my entire life. Even as far back as I can remember, like 9 or 10 years old. My mom has told me I'm way too controlling and way too dominant. Little did she know. Poor kid. So yeah, being a submissive can really, really help you figure out if you're a dom or a sub. I think that could help. If you know that's not the route you want to go, then your steps are 1, find your kink, 2, educate yourself, and 3, practice. 3 isn't to get someone that you could shadow. It's all about practice. You can't figure out who you are if you don't have a foundation. You can't figure out how you want to operate if you don't know where you want to go. And you can't be an expert at something if you don't practice. So those are the 3 biggest things that you need to do if you're struggling as a dom to find your dominance and you see other women out here on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever the case, doing things that you want to do and you don't necessarily want to copy them verbatim, I don't ever recommend copying anyone. It is not something you can keep up because you are not that person. You don't have their brain, and eventually, if you do copy them to a point where you get some status, you're going to have to start thinking for yourself, because then you're going to have to start putting things out, and you may have to do it when they're not doing it, or if they decide that they stop or they fall off in doing this, where are you going to be? The best bet to find your dominance, personally, that I think, without going through those steps, is to really just be yourself. Get out of your shyness in doing this, and that takes a little while, but don't let it take longer than it needs to take. Just be who you are. There is no right or wrong answer as far as being a dom. There's no guidebook to say, okay, you're only a dom if you do this or if you operate like this. That is not how it works. It is a very big community. It's a very wide community, and it's a very, very, very expansive profile of kinks and fetishes and ways to do things. So there's not one way that's wrong. There's not one way that's right. What I find a lot of is probably women who think being dominant is the same as being a bully, and that's not the same. Men too. However, when you interact with your subs, it's all depending on what they want. Not all subs want to bully. Being yourself is your best bet, even if you have to start off slow. Being yourself is your best bet to find your dominance. And the second thing will probably be trying to be a submissive, because maybe you're submissive and you're not a dom, and that's okay. And that is really all I have for this video. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, fuck it. I don't care. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell so you know anytime I drop a video. If you have any questions or want any advice, drop a comment below. Hit me on Instagram. The girl who hit me for this question hit me on Instagram, by the way. Hit me, DM me on Twitter, email me. I have to get better at checking my email, but it's there. I check it. I will see you next time on Questions That Need Answers. Bye.